If you feel like you need a cool reason to get into fly fishing, consider the added possibility of making your very own flies. Instead of just picking up your flies at a local shop or online, you can get into the simple craft of making your very own dry and wet flies with nymphs, cadises, redworms, and every other type of hatch out there. Here are 2 simple flies to get you started at home. Start by getting the right gear. To get your fly tying world started, you're going to want the following gear: a tying vise, bobbin, a pair of tying scissors, and a whip finisher. Then, for materials, you'll want thread, size small tying wire, hooks, and some head cement. You'll also want some special materials depending on the individual fly. First, we're going to start with the zebra midge, also known as a nymph. For this fly, you'll need a size 12 curved hook and a brass bead head. Start out by taking the hook and slide on a brass bead before setting it into the tying vise. Then, start your thread base by laying the thread across the hook shaft behind the brass bead and wrapping the thread around the held line. After the thread base is halfway to the bend in the hook, lay a strand of fly wire down on the hook shaft, starting at the head, and continue the thread base to secure it down, going up and down the hook shaft. When the thread base is about 10 layers thick and tapered towards the bottom of the hook, stop the thread base at the brass bead and begin to wrap the fly wire forward, leaving approximately a 1 millimeter gap as you work up the hook spine to the bead. Snap the wire off by wiggling it back and forth and secure it with the thread base by making multiple wraps around the wire's end, and tie it off with a whip finisher with a little head cement to help the line hold firm. There you have it, the zebra midge nymph fly. The second fly we're going to do is a dry fly called the elk hair caddis. For this fly, you will need a hook, dubbing, feather, and some elk hair. First, secure your hook in the vise and start your thread base just like the nymph from before. Next, lay down some tying wire, again like the nymph, leaving its mass hanging off the hook bend. Now, tease and twist a 3-inch section of dubbing onto the thread base string and wrap it from the hook bend to the head. Next, take a strand of feather and secure it with the thread base at the hook's head, and then wrap it with a bit of gap down the hook shank to the curve. After that, wrap the tie wire up the shank to the hook head and secure it down with thread base, wrapping enough around just below the head to make a bit of a thread bead. Finally, take a small pinch of elk hair and align it so the small ends of the hair are lined up, and lay it down the shank of the hook with the ends of the hair aligned atop the curve of the hook. Use the thread base to wrap the elk hair down with about 6 to 8 wraps, and then bend the hair back over itself towards the bend in the hook and make about a half dozen or so wraps with the thread base in front of the bend in the hair. Use the whip finisher and some head cement to tie off and finish the fly. Pinch the vertical tuft of elk hair together and trim it straight back about 2 millimeters above the head of the hook. Voila! You now have made your first elk hair caddis. Tying flies takes practice, so don't worry about perfection when you're starting out. Just get comfortable with the tools and materials. It can be extremely rewarding to catch a fish on your very own fly. Like and subscribe to the Take Me Fishing channel and tell us your favorite fly in the comments.